Today we're going to talk about graphing linear equations in two variables. And we're going to start by graphing y equals 3x minus 2. Now what we're going to do is make a table, and we're going to pick values for x and then plug them in to figure out what y is. And I'm going to pick the values -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. I'm not doing anything special to pick those. I'm just throwing those out for us to plug into that equation. Now what we're going to do is plug each of those values into the equation y equals 3x minus 2. So let's start. So we're going to say y equals 3 times -2 minus 2. Now 3 times -2 is -6 minus 2 gives you -8. So we're going to plug in -8 in place of y. For the next one, we're going to plug in -1. 3 times -1 minus 2. We're putting the -1 in place of x. So we have -3 minus 2, which gives you -5. So we're going to put that in our table. Next, if we plug in 0, y equals 3 times 0 minus 2. Well, that just gives us -2. Then we have, if we put in 1, y equals 3 times 1 minus 2, which gives you 3 minus 2, which gives you 1. And then lastly, we'll just put in the 2. Y equals, I'm going to put this over here, y equals 3 times 2 minus 2. So that gives us 6 minus 2, which gives us 4. Alright, now we're going to graph those points. So we start with -2, -8. So we go to the left 2 and down 8. Then we have -1, -5 to the left 1 and down 5. 0, -2 means we just go down 2. 1, 1 to the right 1 and up 1. 2, 4 to the right 2 and up 4. And now we're going to make our line. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put arrows on the ends of the line to indicate this line really goes on and on forever. We could have chosen different points. We could have chosen so many more points, which would have just put the line in a different spot on this graph. The line really does go on and on forever. Now let's do the next one. We want to graph y equals -2x. So let's pick the same numbers for x. Let's pick -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. That gives us a good representation on the graph. Now what we're doing now is we're saying y equals -2 times whatever x is. So in this case, -2 times -2 is +4. -2 times -1, +2. -2 times 0, 0. -2 times 1, -2. And -2 times 2 is -4. And let's just graph the points. So we go to the left 2 and up 4 for our first point, to the left 1 and up 2 for the next one. 0, 0 means we stay right at the origin. 1, -2 means we go to the right 1 and down 2. And 2, -4, we go to the right 2 and down 4. And now let's draw our line. Again, be sure to put arrows on the end of it. Now this next one, we want y equals 1/3 x minus 3. Now the thing is, we're going to have to multiply the very first, our x's by 1/3. So it might be a good idea to pick numbers that we think will cancel out with 1/3. Okay, or in other words, multiples of 3. So now 0 is always fine. Multiples of 3. We could do 3, we could do 6. We can also do -3 and -6. Alright? And I know we don't have a lot of room here, but let's actually do our math down here on the lower right. So we have y equals 1/3 times, to start off with, 0 minus 3. That's plugging it into the equation, y equals 1/3 x minus 3. So, well, 1/3 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 3 is -3. Next, we have 1/3 times 3 minus 3. Well, the 3's cancel, so we have 1 minus 3, which gives you -2. Next, we have 1/3 times 6 minus 3. Well, 1/3 of 6 is 2, minus 3 gives you -1. Moving on, we have 1/3 times -3 minus 3. Well, 1/3 of -3 is -1, minus 3 gives you -4. And 1/3 times -6 minus 3. 1/3 of -6 is -2, minus 3 is -5. Okay, so now we're going to graph these points. We have 0, -3, so we just go down 3 from the origin. 3, -2, go to the right 3 and down 2. 6, -1, go to the right 6 and down 1. -3, -4, go to the left 3, down 4. -6, -5, go to the left 6 and down 5. And now we can make our line. Be sure to put the arrows on the end. Now, the next one. We are told to graph 2x minus 5y equals 10. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to erase all these figures that we had put in for the last problem to give us a little more room. Now, you notice before all of our equations were in the form y equals something. This one isn't. So what we're going to have to do is solve 2x minus 5y equals 10 for y. And that's not a big deal. You've solved equations like this before. So we'll start by, we want to get y alone, so we'll subtract 2x from each side. So we have -5y, because the 2x's cancel, equals -2x plus 10. Now we want to get y alone, so we're going to divide everything by -5. That means every term. So we get y equals, negative divided by a negative is a positive, so we have 2/5 x minus 2. That's the equation that we're going to use. So you can even, instead of saying graph 2x minus 5y equals 10, you can now even say graph y equals 2/5 x minus 2. And you can even put that right here next to your table. Now, like before, because we have a fraction in front of our x, we want to choose numbers that will cancel out, or are multiples of 5. That would really help us. Now, 0 always works, and we can use 5 and 10, and then we can also use -5 and -10. So let's go ahead and do that. So if we plug our numbers in, 2/5 times 0 is 0, minus 2 gives us -2. We can finish it. We can work on this down here too. So our next number is 5. So if we want to say y equals 2/5 times 5 minus 2, the 5's will cancel, and we're left with 2 minus 2, which is 0. So we have 5, 0. Let's keep going. We'll put in 10. So we have y equals 2/5 times 10 minus 2. Well, 5 goes into 10 twice. 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 minus 2 gives us 2. So we have 10, 2. Next, we're going to plug in negative 5. So we have 2 fifths times negative 5 minus 2. 5 goes into negative 5, negative 1 time. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Minus 2 gives us negative 4. So we'll put in negative 4. And lastly, we'll put in the negative 10. So y equals 2 fifths times negative 10 minus 2. 5 goes into negative 10. Negative 2 times. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Minus 2 gives us negative 6. We will erase all of this before the next problem, so we'll have room. Okay, so now let's go ahead and graph those points. We have 0, negative 2, so we go down 2 from the origin. 5, 0, we go to the right 5 and up 0. 10, 2, to the right 10 and up 2. Negative 5, negative 4, we go to the left 5 and down 4. Negative 10, negative 6, go to the left 10 and down 6, and connect these points with a line. And don't forget your arrows. Now the next one. Graph x minus 3y equals 9. The first thing we need to do is we need to solve for y again. Alright, so let's do that. So let's solve for y. So you have x minus 3y equals 9. So we'll start by subtracting x from each side. So we have negative 3y equals negative x plus 9. Now this is like having a 1 in front of this x, so it's really a negative 1. And we divide every term by negative 3 in order to get y alone. And we end up with y equals negative divided by negative is a positive. So we have y equals 1/3 x minus 3. Because 9 divided by negative 3 is negative 3. And that's what we're going to use. Y equals 1/3 x minus 3. Just like before, we'd like to choose numbers that are multiples of 3. We'll start with 0, but then choose 3 and 6. Negative 3 and negative 6. And now we'll plug our numbers in. And we didn't even need to erase what we had done before, so that's good. Okay, so we've got plenty of room here. So we're going to say 1/3 times 0 minus 3 gives you negative 3. Y equals 1/3 times 3 minus 3. The 3's cancel. We have 1 minus 3, which gives us negative 2. Y equals 1/3 times 6 minus 3. 3 goes into 6 twice. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 minus 3 gives you negative 1. Now we have y equals 1/3 times negative 3 minus 3. 3 goes into negative 3 negative 1 time. 1 times negative 1 is negative 1 minus 3, which gives us negative 4. And negative 6. So we have y equals 1/3 times negative 6 minus 3. 1/3 of negative 6 is negative 2. Minus 3 gives us negative 5. So here are the y values. And then to the left are the x values. So let's just graph those. We have 0, negative 3, which means we just go down 3. We have 3, negative 2, so we go to the right 3 and down 2. And 6, negative 1, we go to the right 6 and down 1. Here. Negative 3, negative 6, go to the left 3, down 6. Negative 3, negative 4. Go to the left 3 and down 4. Sorry, and then negative 6, negative 5, go to the left 6 and down 5. connect them, and we're done.